Good morning, everybody. I'm Allie from the Naples Library, and I am here to present Storytime this morning. How's everybody feeling? Hopefully it's a great morning for all of us. So, as you know, for the month of July, we are participating in a summer reading program, which is provided by the Read Square program through the library. And the subject of our reading program this summer is folk and fairy tales. So that's what all of the subjects of the story times I'm doing this month are. And this week we are talking about fractured folk and fairy tales. That's kind of a complicated term, isn't it? Let me kind of explain what I mean by fractured folk and fairy tales. So a fractured folk tale is like a classic folk tale, but it changes some of the details. For example, it can change which character is telling the story. It can change what you think about different characters by telling their background before they tell the story. And it can insert different things that kind of change the outcome of the folktale. For example, like we could take a story like Little Red Riding Hood, and instead of telling it from Little Red Riding Hood's perspective, we could tell it from the Big Bad Wolf's perspective and explain why the wolf is feeling the way he is. Or maybe even say that Little Red Riding Hood was being a little bit selfish with the goods that she was bringing to her grandma. Why couldn't she share any of those? You know, something like that. So this week we're offering 3 different versions of folk or fractured folk tales, or I do have a nursery rhyme that I included in this. The first one is a switch up on the 3 Billy Goats Gruff, which is about the Billy Goats who try to cross the bridge and then there's a troll underneath the bridge. In this one we introduce, actually we speak in a little bit of Spanish today, which is very exciting. I'm so excited to teach new languages to you. The second one is a different version of Humpty Dumpty, which is the nursery rhyme I just mentioned. We're going to be learning what happened to Humpty Dumpty after he fell off the wall. And then the third one is a switch up on the 3 Little Pigs and the Big Bad Wolf, which becomes the 3 Little Wolves and the Big Bad Pig. So I'm very excited to share all of these with you today. We can just start right in with the Humpty Dumpty one, which is called After the Fall. And this book is by Dan Santat, and it's a Macmillan book. It's published by Macmillan, and I do have permission from them to read this to you today. So, what happened to Humpty Dumpty? Do you guys know what happened to him? The nursery rhyme goes, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. And this book says at the bottom here, how Humpty Dumpty got back up again. And on the back it says, life begins when you get back up. So this is a really great story. We start here. Let me just kind of adjust my camera a little bit. Sorry about this. All right, we've got a big, tall wall with all of these cool plants growing all over it. It says, my name is Humpty Dumpty. This was my favorite spot, high up on the wall. I know it's an odd place for an egg to be, but I loved being close to the birds. Then one day I fell. I'm sort of famous for that part. Folks call it the Great Fall, which sounds a little grand because it was just an accident. But it changed my life. Fortunately, all the king's men managed to put me back together again. Well, most of me. There were some parts that couldn't be healed with bandages and glue. You see up here, he has all these drawings of birds. Man, he used to love to watch the birds, huh? And he can't even sleep up on his bunk bed. Look, he's sleeping on the floor. He must be afraid. After that day, I was afraid of heights. I was so scared that it kept me from enjoying some of my very favorite things. Look, he couldn't even get up on the ladder to get his favorite cereal down. I walked past the wall every day, and I would think about climbing that ladder again. That ladder. I really missed the birds and being high above the city, but I could never do it because I know that accidents can happen. Oh, that's so sad, Humpty. I eventually settled for watching birds from the ground. It wasn't the same, but it was better than nothing. See, he's got his binoculars out, and he's watching. He's got birds on a wire over here, but what is that that's flying past him? Whoosh. Can you tell me what that is? That's a paper airplane. Have you ever made a paper airplane? Maybe your grown-ups can teach you how to make one. Then Humpty says, one day, an idea flew by. Whoosh! Making planes was harder than I thought. It was easy to get cuts and scratches. Oh, paper cuts are the worst, aren't they? But day after day, I kept trying and trying. Until I got it just right. Wow, this paper airplane looks like a bird. Can you believe he made that out of paper? How beautiful. The plane was perfect, and it flew like nothing could stop it. I hadn't felt that happy in a long time. It wasn't the same as being up in the sky with the birds, but it was close enough. He throws the plane, do you see? Whoosh! Can you help me follow the path? We go this way, and then we come down in this way. We do a loop-de-doop this way, and then we come back around to here. Unfortunately, accidents happen. Oh no, Humpty. They always do. Can you see the big wall over here? Where do you think that paper bird is going? All the way up to the top of the ladder. On the top of the wall. See it up here? It's up on the very top of the wall. Humpty says, I almost walked away again, but then I thought about all of that time that I had spent working on my plane and all of the other things that I'd missed. I decided I was going to climb that wall after all. But the higher I got, The more nervous I felt. I didn't want to admit it, but I was terrified. Oh man, but good for Humpty Dumpty. He is conquering his fear. He's doing it anyway because he believes he can. I didn't look up. I didn't look down. I just kept climbing, one step at a time. Until I was no longer afraid. You see him up on top of the wall there? Bum, ba, bum! He did it! He was all the way up top. He conquered his fear. Maybe now you won't think of me as that egg who was famous for falling. What's this here? Crack, crack. Do you see what is coming out from underneath the egg? What is that? A feather? Crack, crack, crack. He's starting to crack everywhere. Hopefully, he says, you'll remember me as the egg who got back up. Wow! Do you guys remember what comes out of eggs? Birds. And I learned how to fly. He turned into a bird and flew off of that wall once and for all. Fear conquered and flew away into the distance. The end. What a great book, right? Now we know what happened to the real Humpty Dumpty. For our second book today, we are going to be reading The Three Billy Goats Buenos, which does have some Spanish in it. Do you guys know that all around the world, people speak different languages? That's right. Sometimes when you say the word green, other people may say a different word and mean green. So, for example, in Spain, in Mexico, in South America, people would say the word verde, and they would mean green, like you and me. That's funny, isn't it? Well, there are a whole bunch of words in here that we're going to learn today about The Three Billy Goats Buenos by Susan Middleton Elia. And this is a Penguin Random House publication, and I do have permission to read this from them. Look at all these words we're going to learn today. Oh my gosh. Wow. We're going to be so smart after this. Let's start in. There once were 3 goats, a brotherly trio. They needed to crisscross a fast-moving rio. A rio is a river. But under the bridge lived a grumpy gigante with tootsies as big as a small elefante. A gigante, that means giant, or in this case, troll. An elefante is an elephant, so he had huge feet. Troll's ojos were glowing. Her nose was a hook. She stopped the kids from crossing with one scary look. With 3 heads together, a mission was planned to get past the grumpiest troll in the land. The smallest goat, Uno, so inteligente, clipped clip-clopped right up to the edge of el puente. Uno means one. So inteligente, which means smart, clip-clopped right up to the edge of el puente, which is a bridge. "Hey!" roared the troll, her giant head bobbing. "You have some nerve, and soon you'll be sobbing." "Please," said the hoof-shaking tiny cabrito, "may I go by in a short momentito?" "How many creatures can pass me?" "Ningunos. You kids will be part of mis desayunos." So the hoof-shaking tiny cabrito, the little goat, "May I go by in a short momentito?" A little minute, very soon. "How many creatures can pass me?" "Ningunos. None. This troll doesn't think anybody can get by. You kids will be part of mis desayunos, which is breakfast. I'm going to eat you for breakfast," says this troll. "Wait," said the little goat. "I'm not sabroso, tasty. Try my big brother. He's so delicioso, delicious. In fact, my small bones will stick in your dientes. Wait till the bigger goat reaches your puente." Dientes. Do you ever get food stuck in your dientes? Teeth. And puente, we already learned, that means bridge. "He's headed this way to that meadow of grass." The troll licked her labios. Do you ever lick your labios? "Fine, you may pass." The little goat crossed to the bank's other lado, side, then followed his nose to the lush, lovely prado. All of this green grass makes up a meadow. Along came the second goat, numero dos. "Halt!" yelled the troll in her scratchy voice, her voice. "My meal is before me, here for the taking. See these big chompers? Why aren't you shaking?" "Wait," said the middle goat. "I'm not so sabroso. Try my big brother. He's so delicioso." Sabroso, tasty. Delicioso, delicious. The troll rubbed her chin, both whiskered and warty. "I heard a rumor that you taste good, shorty." The goat shook his spotted cabeza, his head. "These spots will taste bitter. I'm the worst of the three." The troll licked her labios. "Can you lick your labios?" "Fine, you may pass." The goat hurried off to the clover and grass. He joined his hermano, brother. The two butted heads. They frolicked and romped like true quadrupeds. Quadrupeds means that they have 4 legs. Then next came the biggest goat, numero tres. "If the troll lets me by, what will she eat después?" After. If he's the last one, who can he convince that the troll should eat? And why is she so grumpy? Tres wanted to know. His gentle eyes noticed the gal's swollen toe. Stuck to her foot was a long, sharp espina, thorn. Ay, that must hurt you a lot, mi vecina, my neighbor. Hello, Scarlett. Welcome to Storytime. I hope you enjoy it. A big salty lagrima fell from her eye. No one has noticed. You're the first guy. Lagrima, can you see what is falling from this troll's eye? We say tear, but in Spanish we say lagrima. The goat called his brothers. This troll needs a remedy. Please gather hierbas to soothe her extremity. Hierbas, herbs. Goat Tres pulled the thorn. He used his big dientes. Remember dientes? That gal was the happiest troll of all puentes. Puentes, do you remember? Bridge. The happiest troll of all the bridges. The others found herbs, mashed them up with their teeth, returned to her foot and put the paste underneath. Next they picked frutas in an orchard nearby. Frutas, fruits. The troll's scary cara, face, stopped looking so mean, and she'd wave to the three as they crossed to the green. Pass, young cabritos, and don't pay a toll. We're all amigos, said their new friend, the troll. Cabritos, little goats. Amigos, one of the most important words in Spanish. Friends. Everybody made friends in the ends. And last but not least, we have one of my favorite books when I was growing up, The Three Little Wolves and the Big Bad Pig. This is different than The Three Little Pigs and the Big Bad Wolf, and you'll see how. Oh, I'm sorry. This book is by Eugene Trevisan, and it is also a Macmillan book, published by Macmillan Books. Once upon a time, there were 3 cuddly little wolves with soft fur and fluffy tails who lived with their mother. The first was black, the second was gray, and the third was white. One day, the mother called to the 3 little wolves and said, "My children, it is time for you to go out into the world. Go and build a house for yourselves, but be aware of the big bad pig." "Don't worry, Mother. We will watch out for him," said the 3 little wolves, and they set off. Soon, they met a kangaroo who was pushing a wheelbarrow full of red and yellow bricks. "Please, will you give us some of your bricks?" asked the 3 little wolves. "Certainly," said the kangaroo, and she gave them lots of red and yellow bricks. So the 3 little wolves built themselves a house of bricks. Building, building, building. The very next day, the big bad pig came prowling down the road. Look at him. He's so bad, so big, and pretty scary. He came prowling down the road and saw the house of bricks that the little wolves had built. The 3 little wolves were out playing croquet in their garden. When they saw the big bad wolf coming, they ran inside the house and locked the door real quick. "Oh no, run away! Lock the door!" Can you spot the pig in this picture? Where is he hiding? And what is he doing? He's right here watching them play croquet, and he does not look happy. The pig knocked on the door and grunted, 3 little wolves, 3 little wolves, let me come in. No, 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 said the 3 little wolves. By the hair on our chinny chin chins, we will not let you in. Not for all the tea leaves in our china teapot, they said. Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down, said the pig. So he huffed, and he puffed, and he puffed and he huffed, but he could not blow their house down. But the pig wasn't called big and bad for nothing, so he went and fetched his sledgehammer, and he knocked the house down. The 3 little wolves only just managed to escape before the bricks crumbled, and they were very frightened indeed. Well, we have to build a stronger house, they said. Just then they saw a beaver who was mixing concrete in a concrete mixer. Please, will you give us some of your concrete? Asked the 3 little wolves. Well, certainly, said the beaver. And he gave them some buckets and buckets and buckets full of messy, slurry concrete. So the 3 little wolves built themselves a house of concrete. Concrete? Look at that house. That could never be torn down. Am I right? No sooner had they finished than the big bad pig came prowling down the road and saw the house of concrete that the little wolves had built. They were playing battledore and shuttlecock in the garden, and when they saw the big bad pig coming, they ran inside their house and shut the door. The pig rang the bell and said, Little frightened wolves, let me come in. No, 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 said the 3 little wolves. By the hair on our chinny chin chins, we will not let you in. Not for all the tea leaves in our china teapot. Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down, said that pig. So he huffed, and he puffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, and he could not blow that house down. So, the pig wasn't called the big bad pig for nothing, now was he? He went and fetched his jackhammer and smashed that house down. 3 little wolves managed to escape, but their chinny chin chins were trembling and trembling and trembling. They were scared. What a big bad pig. What business does he have doing this anyhow? We shall build an even stronger house, they said, because they were very determined. Just then, they saw a truck coming down the road carrying barbed wire, iron bars, armor plates, and heavy metal padlocks. Please, will you give us some of your barbed wire, a few iron bars and armor plates, and maybe some heavy metal padlocks? They said to the rhinoceros who was driving the truck. Sure, said the rhino, and he gave them plenty of barbed wire, iron bars, armor plates, and heavy metal padlocks. He also gave them some plexiglass and some reinforced steel chains because he was generous and kind-hearted. So the 3 little wolves built themselves an extremely strong house, like the strongest house ever. Stronger than you could ever imagine. And they felt absolutely safe in their very strong house. Until the next day, the big bad pig came prowling along the road as usual. The 3 little wolves were playing hopscotch in the garden when they saw the big bad pig coming. They ran inside their house, bolted the door, and locked all of the 37 padlocks. The pig dialed the video entrance phone and said, Little frightened wolves with the trembling chins. Let me come in. No, 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 said the little wolves. By the hair on our chins, we will not let you in. Not for all the tea leaves in our china teapot. Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down, wolves, said the pig. So he huffed, and he puffed, and he huffed and he puffed, but he could not blow that house down. The pig wasn't called the big bad pig for nothing, though. So he brought over some dynamite and laid it against the house. Lit the fuse. See, he's got dynamite. He lit the fuse, and what do you think is going to happen? Kablammy! Whoa, a huge explosion. He blew the whole house up with dynamite. And the three little wolves just managed to escape with their fluffy tails scorched. Oh my gosh, you cannot stop this guy. Something must be wrong with our building materials, they said. We have to try something else. But what? At that moment, they saw a flamingo coming along, pushing a wheelbarrow full of flowers. Please, will you give us some of those flowers? Asked the little wolves. With pleasure, said the flamingo, and he gave them lots of flowers. So the three little wolves built themselves a house of flowers. Now, how is a house of flowers going to stay up if the big bad pig uses dynamite? One wall was full of marigolds, one of daffodils, and one of pink roses, then one of cherry blossoms. The ceiling was made of sunflowers, and the floor was a carpet of daisies. They had water lilies in their bathtub and buttercups in their refrigerator. It was a rather fragile house, and it swayed in the wind, but it was very beautiful. The next day, the big bad pig came prowling down the road like usual and saw the house of flowers that the three little wolves had built. He rang the bluebell at the door and said, Little frightened wolves with the trembling chins and the scorched tails, let me come in. No, 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 said the three little wolves. By the hair on our chins, we will not let you in, not for all the tea leaves in our china teapot. Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down, said the pig. But as he took a deep breath, ready to huff and puff, he smelled the soft scent of the flowers. It was fantastic, and because the scent was so lovely, the pig took another breath, and then another. Instead of huffing and puffing, he began to sniff. He sniffed deeper and deeper until he was quite filled with the fragrant scent. His heart grew tender, and he realized how horrible he had been. Right then, he decided to become a good big pig, and he started to sing and dance the tarantella. What in the world? He's now a good pig? Can you trust him? At first, the three little wolves were a bit worried. It might be a trick, but soon they realized that the pig had truly changed. So they came running out of the house, and they started playing games with him. First, they played Pig Pog, and then Piggy in the middle. And when they were all tired, they invited him into the house. They offered him tea and strawberries and wolfberries, and they asked him to stay with them as long as he would like. The pig accepted, and they all lived happily ever after. The end. Well, that's a different ending to the story than we might have expected, isn't it? So I do have a little bit of review here. What did we learn today? Well, in the story of Humpty Dumpty, after the fall, we learned that if at first you do not succeed, try again. Don't let your fear stop you from doing the things that you love to do. We learned from the billy goats that if somebody is angry, more than likely they have a reason that they're angry. A lot of the times they're just hurting. So maybe you can help them out and maybe you can make things better for them. And from the 3 little wolves and the big bad pig, we learned that kindness works much better than force. And we also learned that it's a good idea to forgive, even if somebody kind of hurt you. If not for them, for you and your heart. All right, friends, I hope that you really enjoyed our stories today. I really enjoyed telling them. I hope that you also enjoyed that you got to learn a new language. Isn't that so much fun? I hope to be able to bring books like that to you more often. Okay, well, I think that concludes our story time today. So I hope to see you next week at the Wednesday Snippet. And we're going to be talking about mythical creatures, all sorts of cool stuff. We've got mermaids, unicorns. You'll see what we have in store for you. Make sure that you tune in. And until then, have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much for coming today. Bye-bye, everybody.